I'm Hollywood Gaytheist, the Angry Gay Pope. I take donations to fight the cult of Scientology at patreon.com/angrygaypope.
Come on, you guys. The Truth Patrol is here. You're not selling anything. You're just wasting your young lives. Wasting your young lives on the boulevard. Little whores for L. Ron Hubbard.
There's no time.
The time is
13
o'clock.
Hey everybody, it's episode 80, kind of a special edition.
Yeah, we've already recorded this one actually.
Yes.
We're just recording the intro right now. It was a good show.
We got the Angry Gay Pope to come back again, give us an update on what's going on in the crazy cult of Scientology.
Yeah, he had some new stories and we talked about some of the new videos that he did. But it was good.
This is his third appearance on the show and he's always a really fun guest to have. He's super fun.
He's fun.
Even though, we have to cut out some stuff he says.
Yeah, some stuff. He goes wild, he's the AGP.
But he's AGP. That's how he rolls.
What he does.
And that's why we love having him on the show. He's hilarious.
Yeah, afterwards he's like, I hope I didn't say too much. I got all these pending legal stuff and then the cult wants to know this and that and this and that. He's always on these little secret missions. So, he tries to keep a lot of the stuff that he does underneath the wraps, but then he comes and talks about it anyway.
Yeah.
So,
because here's the thing.
He forgets.
I'm not a big advocate of conspiracy theories in general. 99.9% of them are bullshit. But ones about the Church of Scientology, I believe that shit. Because one, I used to work there, not for the church specifically, but for a company that was owned by them.
Yeah.
And I would not put anything past them. And look at the shit they're doing. Angry Gay Pope, for example, he has a video and he posted, I believe it was in December of 2017, about how this supposed church has license plate photographing cameras hidden in trees on a public street. That is a public tree.
Yeah.
That is so illegal. Why do they need pictures of people's license plates that are driving past their fucking building?
Making sure they're enemies.
Unless they're fucking stalkers and they're going to look your shit up.
No, they're making sure their enemies aren't running by and watching them. They're paranoid.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's like something out of the Cold War. They're in a Cold War mentality.
They're totally crazy.
It's a trip. It's a trip.
It's the weirdest thing ever. If someone just told it to me and I didn't see evidence of it and I didn't know them, I would think they were making it up.
Yeah, and because we had AGP on, you will see comments in the comment sections from OSA agents, which is their version of the SS.
Yeah, that's
the CIA.
Their secret service.
Yeah, and the one that they usually do is, that's it, unsubbed. This is against the freedom of religion. And they go on about religion. And Scientology is not a religion. It's just not.
No. It's a cult and a scam is what it is.
It was from the very beginning designed to be an alternative to psychiatry or psychology. And then later on, L. Ron Hubbard wanted to be tax exempt. And they turned it into a religion.
Yeah. So they wouldn't have to pay taxes.
Right. And
that's exactly why they did it.
And it's a UFO cult, basically. A brainwashing, Marxist-style UFO cult, like something out of North Korea. But in a weird way, ultra-capitalist and corporatist.
Yeah, because all of their jargon is very corporatist sounding. Yeah. And like I said, I read enough of L. Ron Hubbard's shit when I worked for this stupid company in Clearwater. I don't know. That dude is
extremely
insane.
Corporate, very generic, very super mundane. They think they're Jedis. Basically.
They have magic powers.
Yeah, they call OT powers, which is like powers of the mind, ESP, telekinesis, everything that a Jedi could do. Even total control over the space-time continuum. They believe all that. Although they'll deny it.
Tom Cruise can totally time travel. Yeah. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, they will deny this, but in their OT material, which has all been published, you can see exactly as they go up through the OT levels of what they're trying to do.
Yeah, they're total nutcases.
Yeah, and you have to pay money to go up through the level, which is actually... That was something that ALEISTER CROWLEY tried to do with the Golden Dawn.
Yeah.
Is to make it
similar kind of thing.
Yeah, you pay to move up in occult levels. And there's some crossover between ALEISTER CROWLEY and L. Ron Hubbard. L. Ron Hubbard was inspired by Crowley.
Well, also pyramid schemes.
Pyramid schemes and things like that. So it is not a religion. When they get in the comment section and start crying about, freedom of religion and the right to religion, it is not a
Well, and the other thing that annoys me about those kind of comments is just because you have freedom of religion doesn't mean other people can't criticize you. We also have freedom to not subscribe to religions and to criticize yours because they are dumb.
It is as if Avon became, or Amway became a religion.
I was going to say Amway. Actually, I think
like
AGP mentioned that on the interview.
Right. It's
about
a pyramid
being similar to
scheme
Amway,
type corporation, corporate mind power providing pseudo religion.
And the funny thing about it is I actually wasn't going to do one of my current event news stories on this episode just because the interview ran a little bit long. But then out of curiosity, I was like, I'm going to Google Scientology and see if there was any news stories about Scientology that came out in the past week.
Right.
And of course there was. So right here on the Associated Press, dated February 23rd, 2018, Columbia, South Carolina, a former employee of a South Carolina chiropractor says he sexually assaulted her and tried to convert her to Scientology. So evidently, the woman who's making the accusation, she's just known as Jane Doe. She's 25 years old. She worked in this chiropractic office, and said chiropractor Joseph Barton evidently sexually assaulted this woman and made sexual advances toward her that were unwanted. Then she was fired. And he also allegedly said outright that he was going to convert her to Scientology, like it was some kind of fucking threat or something. And so she's suing. And because that's really illegal, you guys. Even like the company that I worked for, you had to like sign a paper at the beginning that said, we're totally not allowed, we're not going to convert you, it's fine, and stuff like that, even though they kind of subtly did.
Okay, now, sexual assault, you got to touch somebody. He's touching the booty, right?
Yeah, or something.
Touching something. Okay. Don't touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't touch.
What the fuck? Especially your fucking boss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they have the power to fire you, and then you have no money.
I know.
So that's shitty. Not only is he a chiropractor, which 90% of those are fucking woo-meisters anyway. Like, let me crack your back and I'll solve all your fucking asthma and all that shit.
Yeah, although I do admit, when I was in high school, I went to one, man, and that dude popped my back. That shit felt good, man.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. If that's all they're doing, if
all
they're popping your back and stuff, and that's all they're claiming, I don't have a problem with that.
That's all he's claiming.
That's just like physical therapy. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just talking about the ones that are all into this, I'm aligning your chakras and all that other crap.
No.
And most of them
this will cure your cancer.
Right. It's like, and it seems like a lot of them have gone like that. So I don't know if this douche is like one of those, this alleged douche, sorry. But, he's a Scientologist. He's got to be at least partially a douche. But yeah, so this alleged douche, not only is he a chiropractor, he's probably some fucking mystical whatever.
Yeah, what's that thing with the Chinese people that you smell stuff? What's that called?
Oh,
they have
where you smell stuff?
Yeah, it's
aromatherapy?
Like, something like, I think that's what it's called. It's showing up in these dead malls. These Chinese go in there and they do things to you, and it's supposed to help your chi. Oh. I think you smell things.
Well, I can see how
they do. I think like massage on your back, and that that aligns your chi.
Like certain smells are supposed to like improve your mood and stuff, but I don't think that the effect is all that great.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's not like, oh, everything's awesome now that I smelled cinnamon buns.
We had to do a show on like the origins of all that kind of stuff, like aromatherapy.
That would be fun, actually.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah. So anyway, so this woman is suing this alleged jackhole. Mm-hmm. Oh, and this is good too. I forgot to mention this. This guy says he's a Scientologist, and this allows him to, quote unquote, sense emotional disturbances in people.
Yeah. He's one with the force.
I guess so. Yeah. So I guess he sensed that she would be all right with him, like, sexually assaulting her.
Well, here's the thing, though. I can sense emotional disturbances.
Most people can.
Yeah. That's not
weird.
That's not a claim.
That's just part of being a human.
Yeah, that's not a claim.
With empathy.
Yeah.
Which I realize that some people don't have, but, most people do to some extent. You can tell when someone's upset.
Sure.
Or,
Yeah. So I can tell when the animals are upset. I can tell when the cat's upset.
Most people can tell, like, their pets and things like that. You can tell when they're upset. I can tell.
Body language.
Yeah.
Body language.
So I don't see why that's like super fucking special. Mm-mm. But anyway, so that was the news story for the day. So we'll be following that.
Because Scientologists always fucking make all these claims about normal abilities.
Well, it's because they don't interact with normal people, so they don't know what normal people are capable of, so they somehow think that they're better.
The first thing they teach you is the communications course, as if you don't know how to talk.
Yeah.
As if you don't know how to communicate.
Well, they don't.
They certainly
and
don't.
Obviously, and I had to take that course when I worked there.
Yeah.
And obviously, okay, Scientologists, maybe not the ones that like live in the normal world and stuff, but like the ones that have been brought up in it, the ones that are cloistered and stuff like that, they come off very much like robots in human suits.
Yeah.
And it's really sad to me that they have to be told how to interact in a normal human fashion because apparently they don't know how to do that.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, one time I was walking down Newberry Street. This was down in Boston. And a girl came out of a building and says, "Why don't you come in for a free personality test?" And I said, "What's that for?" I was just out of the army, you know?
Yeah.
"What's that for?" "To find out what kind of person you are." I said, "I know what kind of person I am."
I'm me. I'm right here.
"Oh, no, we're going to find you." Da, da, da. And you know, that's the test right there. If you don't know what kind of person you are, you'll go with them. They're looking for somebody who doesn't know what kind of person they are.
And some random stranger on the street obviously is going to tell you.
Well, they're going to give you a test.
Yeah.
So you can find out, so they can tell you what kind of person you are. And you're the kind of person that needs to give them some money.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Well, see, this is a good thing, but this is why I'm kind of glad that I'm just like a crabby asshole, because anytime like somebody approaches me and it's like, "Hey, you want this?" No, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah.
I'm just very much like
You
that.
can't help me.
You can't help me. I don't want anything you have. I don't want it. Just leave me alone.
Right.
All right. So that's kind of our introduction.
Yeah.
And so now we're going to cede the floor to the angry gay pope.
Yeah,
he's
and
gonna tell us-
once he gets rolling, I tried to, you know,
That's
like,
good though.
I'm like cutting. Hold on, you know, AGP, we need to cut for a break. No, he just kept on going. Okay, he just kept on going.
That's
So
all right.
you can't control him. You can't control him. So I just let it ride.
Yeah, you just gotta
This
let
is
it
a show of Thomm and Jenny just letting it ride.
That's
But
right.
he's a great guest.
Yeah, he really is. Okay,
Yeah.
so enjoy the interview, and we will be back at the end to wrap things up and do our regular stuff. And so here it is.
Who we have with us right now is, of course, the world famous AGP, also known as the Angry Gay Pope. And just to give the audience, in case you're not a regular listener, to give you a little bit of background on who AGP is. AGP is a member of Anonymous. He's, I guess you could say, he's one of the main members in a small crack team of special operatives that go and harass the hell out of a cult called Scientology.
Yes. And as a member of Anonymous, I get many benefits. Like, I can say, I wrote Beowulf.
Okay.
Now we know.
AGP. How I met AGP is I actually met AGP online. He's got an awesome channel called The Angry Gay Pope. Actually, it's called Surviving Scientology. No,
The End of Scientology.
The End of
multiple channels, yeah.
Yeah.
It's called YouTube/The End of Scientology because they took away my Angry Gay Pope YouTube channel years ago. So
yeah.
you can go to angrygaypope.com and get a link, or go to YouTube and just Google. You just search Angry Gay Pope and videos will show up.
Yeah, and this channel that he has is absolutely mesmerizing. It's just hours and hours and hours of entertainment and education about this cult. And
Which also makes them weaker. It entertains, it educates, and it enturbulates them.
exactly. And it makes them weaker because you get to see them doing what they do. And what they do is fucking weird.
Yeah.
It is really circular conversation.
It's not someone sitting on a couch with a tripod years later, tears streaming down their face, explaining something to Leah Remini or Karen Della Carriere or some other ex. It's like what they're doing right now.
Yeah, and he's got them all in good playlists. Like he has funny videos in a playlist, scary videos in a playlist, just zany shit, educational stuff. So this is like one of my favorite YouTube channels.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks
This
so
one
much.
right here. And
I get a fraction of the views of someone like PewDiePie
Yeah.
or
Same.
the Paul brothers, who I loathe. If I see them on the street, they'll just get such a mouthful. The most popular things on YouTube are popular with 10-year-old boys.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, they make all this money. But I don't go around in Japan taking videos of dead bodies and then not knowing how to deal with it the way
Right.
those people do.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
God.
what I would do is I would just put Angry Gay Pope's channel on and just let it play all day long. And I could
Yeah.
sit there and just watch it, go from one video to the next. And so,
What happens is that on YouTube, you watch one video of something, and then boom, the screen dissolves at the end into a Brady Bunch list of other things you can click on. The more you click on my videos, the more, just by the nature of YouTube, it funnels you back into more of my videos. is.
Yeah.
And people will like leave it on binge watching. They tell me they binge watch, and this is like videos about screaming, yelling, people being beaten, people sitting in a chair bursting into tears over their incarcerations. It's like, I would never think that this was something you could binge watch. But I've had fans come up to me in person and say, like, I sit there every night in bed and watch your videos. And his wife says, I just roll over and don't watch, but I listen the whole time.
And
We've done the same thing. We've done the same thing.
Yeah, and one of the weird side effects is that the AGP has actually made celebrities out of like cult members and cult guards.
Yeah.
You know, guys like...
It's like what Hogan's Heroes did with Sergeant Schultz.
Exactly.
Lovable Sergeant Schultz at the death camp.
Yeah. And you know, like Frank Paolo.
Yes.
His videos are awesome, and just, you know, some
I've got a new one that has a biography of Odo in it called Odo versus the Internet.
Yeah.
And my patrons at patreon.com/angrygaypopers have been seeing for a while. But it'll be real good. Odo's wife is on Fox.
Really?
Wow.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
really
he's being funny. I think you called Odo toilet seat face.
No, that's Roy. That's Roy.
Oh, that's Roy? Oh, okay.
And his face does not actually look like a toilet seat. It's just that when I see his face, I feel like it either looks like a piece of shit or I want to poop on it.
Oh, yeah. And then, of course, it goes into the other direction, too. On the opposite end of the spectrum would be the ever-handsome Mr. Angel. Tell us about Angel.
Nasty Nathaniel and I have pretty much agreed that as gay guys, like, whatever character we're going to turn the guards into, if they're good looking, we love them no matter what they do. And if they're ugly, they just can't do anything right.
Exactly. And it's just hilarious.
I can tell is not heterosexual based on his accent when he opens his mouth.
And it's hilarious because Angel's like this young Latin guy, you know, and he's very good looking, he's very handsome, he looks like an actor. And he'll
probably from a rich family, too. They get gorgeous kids from rich families, and then they use them as ridiculous slaves who are punished in absurd ways if they violate silly rules.
Yeah, and he'll be standing outside some kind of, you know, Scientology org with his chest out and his chin held high in the air. While Nasty Nathaniel and the AGP just tell him how pretty he is, and he's trying to keep a smile from breaking out over his face. Although I'm noticing that they're not really good at controlling their emotions like they were. They do smile now.
Oh, occasionally, yes, they do smile. Or like this latest video, I said, Angel. I get comments on the internet on YouTube about how handsome you are, and then he walked away.
Yeah, probably because that
got him out of here. Cool.
He probably started blushing. I've noticed that the Scientologists are becoming more and more Latin, more and more South American. What's going on?
You're just probably seeing what you want to see, because I'm not there every day recording who goes in and out, and you're just seeing a random sampling.
Okay.
But the real deal is numerically Russia and Eastern Europe.
Really? Okay.
Oh, the economy of Russia stinks. You want to come to America and live in Florida or Hollywood? You know, and they get them over here, and then they take away their green cards and passports and stuff, so they can't leave. They come on a religious visa. So down in Clearwater, where they own that town, and they have a lot of Scientologists come in for counseling, it's like the mecca of Scientology, and I've heard that's really infested with like Eastern Europeans and Russians, because there's just not a lot of anti-Scientology material on the internet in their languages, and so they can manage to still suck the bottom of the barrel out of someplace.
You're right.
Yeah, I guess so.
Make beds in their hotel rooms. Religiously make this bed to make the world a better place.
So
you know what I mean?
So they basically enslave them.
Yeah, and they tell them all these stories about it'll be paradise in America. And then they get here and they're in an even more totalitarian state than the Putin people have got them in.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, it seems like I said, if there's not a lot of information about Scientology over there, it seems like a really easy thing, especially people that are kind of desperate or poor over there, for them to just say, oh, you can come over here and live in this beautiful...
They're very good at nationalizing each different country with a marketing scheme. And they just take out one Lego that's written in German and replace it with another Lego block that's written in Ukrainian, and then the whole Lego sculpture goes into action.
Yeah, that does seem to be something they're, that does seem to be something they're kind of good at.
Yeah. Now, you posted a video a couple weeks back of Rent-A-Skank. Who the hell was Rent-A-Skank?
So we're going to talk about a fight that we're going to talk in a little while, not right now, so stay tuned.
Okay, all right.
Eventually we're going to get to this fight that cop block protesters had with cult guard Alexei.
Okay.
And they were arrested, basically, and the cops were on the church's side, and so this group of cop block protesters swung into action immediately, and they had a protest really quickly. And we all went there, and so when the church, who listens to our emails and listens to our cell phones, reads our emails, reads our cell phone call records, they didn't have enough time to rent proper people to randomly walk by and be offended at us.
Oh, okay.
So they had to rush and buy these quick skanks who are local Hollywood hangabout ne'er-do-wells.
Okay.
Probably have some kind of crazy drug problems or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they paid these people to sit there on the bench when we all arrived. And one of them, which I call the Rent-A-Skank, she gets on there, their faces, and Nasty McCaniel shot the video, and I'm so glad he did. His camera's better than mine, and the camera pulled a focus from 6 inches away, and you can see her fucking nose hairs. I mean, her nose hairs. I should not say things like that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's an old...
She's in his face and clearly pro Scientology for no reason, and she has piercings and stuff, which Scientologists never have. They're very the Mormons, very clean cut looking. You rarely see Scientologists with tattoos or piercings, and then you know that they're probably paid off to be guards somewhere or whatever, someone just standing there. And she had some sort of relationship with the guys on the bench. The guys on the bench were all paid off too, but they were surrounded by protesters. And if you watch the video, you can point out the guy on the bike is a cop guard, bike guard, and he had he brought a change of outfit. He's so used to dicking with the police. I'm so used to interpolating the police.
Yeah.
And so this Rent-A-Skank just gets in his face and babbles and is weird, and then she runs over and lifts up her top, and then she runs around the corner, she's about to leave, and she runs into me, and someone says, "It's the angry gay pope in his native environment." You actually see me from a third person perspective instead of seeing what I see.
Yeah.
And she said some really stupid stuff there, and then I followed her across the street, just blasting her for being what she is, a paid off skank. And that's not on camera. I didn't bring a camera.
Yeah.
But it's a very funny, weird video that is you can't make it up department,
Yeah.
If someone said that Donald Trump's going to be president and other things, you'd never believe it, because reality is always more interesting than something that's constructed, unless it's the movie Star Wars, which is a deeply religious documentary. But everything else is no wonder there's such a popularity with reality TV or whatever and documentaries now. If you call it a documentary, these videos are a documentary, really, but that sounds boring. But you call it reality TV, and suddenly you think about topless girls and Big Brother splashing around in a little rubber pool.
The thing that weirded me out.
It is reality TV in which people, if the people know they're being recorded, that can be bad. It's something called the Hawthorne effect, where if people know they're being watched, their behavior changes. So I keep my camera just dangling around my tummy, which is I'm so tall, pretty much right in people's faces, and you get them looking slightly off camera, behaving normally. So it is a reality TV. But now there's another kind of reality TV, like the movie Pumping Iron, where everybody knows they're being recorded. So Arnold plays the bad guy, Arnold Schwarzenegger plays the bad guy, and Lou Ferrigno plays the good guy, and you get the audience to get engaged in something that is really boring, who's going to win a beauty contest with the biggest oversized muscles, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a different kind of reality TV. This is what I do is kind of a mixture, in which sometimes I don't want people to know they're being recorded, like in the Inglewood Ideal Org, the Pasadena Ideal Org, the Scientology Beverly Hills Mission, things like that. It's hiding in plain sight, this R2-D2 HAL 9000, robot from the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, watching them. But I'm acting like C-3PO, so they don't notice that I'm a C-3PO R2-D2 hybrid, and my navel is this big eyeball that's going to stare at them for all eternity, for as long as YouTube exists.
Yeah.
I
noticed you have some new material centered around Inglewood, the Inglewood org, and that's a very different org. Is that the org? I mean, that is a black org.
They own two locations in Inglewood. The Inglewood Ideal Org, which is their large meeting house for Scientology, or the Inglewood Community Center, which is a theater. The main part is like a theater room surrounded by all the other services that Scientology can offer. And Eric Garcetti, the mayor, and the chief of police went there for a major deal in which the Crips and the Bloods, or major Inglewood gangs, buried the hatchet.
Okay. Now, it had something to do with Nation of Islam, too, didn't it?
Yes, the Nation of Islam is a black supremacist cult run by the leader Louis Farrakhan. It's actually a hate group because the Nation of Islam is a hate group masquerading as a religion. It's not Islam.
Right.
The Westboro Baptist Church, they're not Baptists. ISIS is not Muslims, and Scientology is not science. It's not even ology, really. But the Nation of Islam and the Church of Scientology have joined together to make this hate group Oreo cookie, where the Oreo colors are flipped, and the white part is on the outside, and it's got this black chocolatey middle.
Okay.
And something tells me the internet is destroying the Nation of Islam like it's destroying the Mormons and the Scientologists. Okay. So Louis Farrakhan is this Jew-hating black supremacist who has said things in the past like they called Jews, Goldstein and Rubenstein because they're always stealing our rubies.
Okay.
They're citation needed?
He means Smith in German. It's so it's Goldsmith. So wow, you're criticizing the Jews for being jewelers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he made a major split in his cult, and this is a cult where women dress up like goofy black nuns.
Okay.
When you see some of their big videos, it's scary when you see this auditorium in Detroit just full of people. There's one video where they have Scientologists in one area, and he says things about, all white people are mentally ill. But white guy L. Ron Hubbard, he believed that there are suppressive persons who are, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And he spouts off Scientology because they paid him to.
Right.
So this split the Nation of Islam in half, apparently. And people said, what are you doing? We're trying to be a dignified religion thing here, and you're dealing with these social outcasts, the Church of Scientology, whose reputation is radioactively muddy.
Yeah.
And they left. Now we have Louis Farrakhan's group, the Nation of Islam, partnering with the Church of Scientology, and you'll have Nation of Islam speakers there and stuff like that, and they advertise things probably few people go to. But the Church of Scientology partnered with them to promote two of the church's lovely properties in Inglewood, and they're just gorgeous buildings. Empty, but they look fantastic.
It's really a shame whenever I see any of their ideal orgs and they're not being used because, they don't get a lot of people in there. Yeah. But you see the inside and they're just beautiful. The architecture is beautiful. Right. I'm look at all of that wasted space and that wasted...
Money and space, yeah. The architecture firms that work for them make a lot of money off buildings that are never used, and there's an infinite budget. So for once, these architects aren't building some beige suburban mall, and I work with architects to help them maintain and build those malls and stuff. But I know how just painting a mall can cost $150,000.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The labor and the paints today can't have poisonous stuff in them that makes them look great, so they cost more. And yet, when these architecture firms do a gig with the Church of Scientology, there's no expense spared, and it would be a great thing to put on the architecture firm's website if they could just hide the Scientology logo.
Yeah.
Now, does the church also own these the companies that do this work? Is that a way of filtering the money back into their own pockets?
They do some of it themselves, but they tend to screw things up a lot, and they will do stuff like put giant air conditioners in the top of a building upside down and then put the roof on.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Well, each one is the size of a railroad car, and it's upside down, and you roofed it in.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I saw a new video that Nathaniel put up about the Inglewood org, and he got into a big camera fight with a black guy that came out. He was dressed as a Scientologist. I don't know if he was a Scientologist.
He was one of the workers there, one of the body routers.
Okay, now...
They're probably for next to nothing.
Now, was he actually Nation of Islam dressed as Scientology, or is it now the same thing?
No, he was certainly a Scientologist.
Okay.
Or I don't know where they come from, but he acted like Step and Fetch, and like, yo, you'd be a real funny person, you crazy Scientology hater. I mean,
yeah.
But he's working basically for free as a slave at this place, and they're promised that, like, every time someone comes in and signs up for something, they'll get a cut of it in a pyramid scheme type style. Like, my parents were into Amway, and that was the same thing, where, like, if you get people below you to sell more soap, you will rise up the pyramid and make more money without having to do anything.
Yeah, but it's just weird that, that they're doing this to black people, too.
Well, they're kind of doing it to everyone.
They run out of white people to steal money from.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody's kind of onto this
stand.
They
wanted some really great property in Inglewood. And one of them, the Inglewood Community Center, when they bought it, hosted a huge cell phone tower that AT&T owns. So the steeple, what became the building in Inglewood is a beautiful sort of a community theater, open space where like jazz bands might have played, once upon a time. It has a steeple-like thing on top that's not a steeple. It's not a church. It just says, hey, this is a public music place or whatever. Here we are. But it has cell phone towers on it. And so the church bought that, and there's this big cage in the back full of AT&T equipment, complete with like battery backups and stuff that, AT&T is paying them money every month just to use that building as a vast cell phone tower. And that means the church can probably use their sneaky people to go in there and screw with the system and get into AT&T's network to do whatever. I don't know, but they could.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Do things like spy on people who are using cell phones in an area, or get into AT&T's network and spy on protesters who have accounts with AT&T.
Because they definitely do that, don't they?
Oh, that's what they live for.
It's weird. Whenever we post a show about you, we get 3 or 4 comments about this is against the freedom of religion and blah 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 blah. This is terrible. I'm subbed.
This is watching.
Yeah, I'm canceling my subscription with 13 o'clock. And they're like, we don't know you.
It's like, okay, bye.
Bye. Yeah.
When scumbag PewDiePie announced that he was gasp and atheist, he lost 150,000 YouTube subscribers.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, I wish I had 150,000 views on a video.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, shit, man.
I did get recently a massive spike in views on this video I had of Ozzy Osbourne, who's hilarious, giving a singer from Greece, what's her name?
Olivia Newton-John?
Yeah, Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah.
Giving her a hard time over her bull. So basically, she's a lesbian. Okay. And she's in a basically arranged marriage with this guy she calls Amazon John. And my husband, Amazon John, goes to the Amazon because we have an open marriage. And he just collects all this wonderful stuff and these berries and things. We made this drink out of it. And Ozzy Osbourne just mocks her for it. And she says, it even looks like the Amazon. Yeah, muddy.
I didn't hear anything about this.
Yeah.
It got in one day, it got so many views, a single person would have to spend a year watching this 2-minute video over and over again. So that was really amazing. I finally for some reason, someone on Reddit posted something and it spilled over and I got all these views.
Damn.
Which is great. It screws up my analytics because of a temporary spike in things. Views or view length. Suddenly my view length, which is the most important thing, went down because the video is only 2 minutes long.
Right, yeah.
It's weird.
I could also tell that it wasn't a standard Angry Gay Pope video because it got very few comments.
Yeah.
And my videos get fewer views, but they get many comments. So there's people that are engaged and want to say something. And YouTube, I think, takes that into account. They must. That, like 1 million people watching a video and then just like going away that's not as engaging as to keep you on YouTube typing something where you can see more ads and keep you there instead of Facebook or somewhere else. So I could tell that even though I don't get the massive views of someone like PewDiePie, I get the audience involvement. And I always try and respond to interesting comments.
Yeah. Hey, tell everybody about Happy Smurf, man. He's a Happy Smurf, but died.
So Happy Smurf, a.k.a. Gary Scarf, was a longtime Scientologist. He was born Mormon and he died last year. So I did a video bringing that up. He was born a Mormon, and then he became a Scientologist, and then he went into OSA, the secret police, and he worked for Kendrick Moxon, their evil lawyer, and a bunch. He basically worked in the most evil part of Scientology for a long time. He had an encyclopedic knowledge of this soap opera, as if he had subscribed to TV Guide since 1980 or something. That's this intense value that I don't have anymore. You can just say, oh, that's Odo Huber. His mother's name is Ermin. His sister's name I forget. She left, and he can't talk to her anymore. So, that's just Odo Huber, one of those cult guards. He could do that to all kinds of people and spot them when we were walking around. Now, can you believe him? Because he was also a ridiculous liar. I mean, he was, as the Scientologists have done hate videos on him, he did lie. They paid him to lie. They told him when he was a Scientologist secret policeman to lie about being involved in Jonestown. In a covered scheme to kill a group called the Cult Awareness Network. And as is covered on 60 Minutes, the Cult Awareness Network ended up being such a thorn in Scientology's side that they took it over and killed it. And speaking of killing it, Smurf left Scientology when they told him that they wanted his help in murdering Cynthia Kisser, the leader of the Cult Awareness Network, and her child.
Wow.
He ran away and was morally offended and just scared. And he went to the FBI and he said, I have all this problems and dirt and stuff. And they said, oh, dirt about what? Because Scientology. And they're like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
And so eventually, when Anonymous happened exactly 10 years ago, the next month, March, will be my 10-year anniversary of protesting the church. He went out there and protested with people and did stuff. And he made me, at this point we met, he made me very educated, but he also made me want to scream because he would be nice to me in person and then go online and just be venomous. And attacking everyone from all sides and playing all sides against each other and always rejecting being helped. Just a very isolating thing. And he was HIV positive and gay, so you multiply being gay times Mormon and Scientology, that's a fucked up existence, which is milking your insecurities in order to use you.
Right.
Yeah.
Eventually, he just could not lose weight. He wouldn't lose weight, and he had to lose weight to have to have a bypass thing. Meanwhile, his HIV, I don't know how well he was handling that, because I'm HIV positive, and because of that screw up, I can get free medical care, and it's paid for by the state. And, you pay the copay when you go to the doctor, and otherwise it's like socialized medicine, rewarding me for this Latino guy who fucked me in a sex club one time.
Oh.
Is that not stupid?
Shit happens,
what
man.
Kind of an idiotic
shit happens.
system do we have in this Alice in Wonderland through the looking glass world where you have to screw up in order to have your medical care totally taken care of, and I have no symptoms of the disease that killed millions.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard it's not the death sentence it used to be.
Smurf could have taken advantage of it. I could have helped him or whatever, but no, he would not take advantage of it. And I wanted to help him with his videos because he did not know how to copy videos from his camera into his computer and save them. So he would upload things to YouTube, and that was the only copy, and then he'd erase the chip and record more.
Damn.
So he got into this thing where, well, first of all, I lost my video channel in 2008 because YouTube was so picky about it and was listening to Scientology too much. They don't do that anymore. Now I could almost do anything and not get a demerit. They just take it down.
Right.
But at the time, I lost my YouTube channel in 2008 by not doing anything that really violated YouTube. The church pressured them to take my channel down. So now my YouTube channel isn't YouTube/Angry Gay Pope, it's YouTube/The End of Scientology. And Smurf made things worse because he actually did violate YouTube's terms of service by going to cult legal people, Kendrick Moxon's house, and shooting his house and saying this is his house, and shooting the house of some of their other lawyers and stuff. And YouTube took his videos down, which caused a third demerit, which caused him to lose the whole channel. And guess what? All those videos he did
gone.
were only stored there. So
yeah,
it wasn't the church that did it. I mean, he fucked. I mean, he screwed up.
Yeah. But, you just posted a really good one that he did a couple of weeks back with him and Frank Paolo trying to ask him.
Frank talking about.
Yeah, that's a classic
HIV,
one.
HIV is like, why do you want this? Why do you want this?
Yeah, I'm going to encourage the audience to go on your channel and go watch that video because that's just classic Scientologist behavior. Just constantly asking the same question over and over and over. It's literally like some kind of a religious inquisition.
When I was around them all the time, I felt like I was just going to go mental. I was like, I have to get away from you people. Yeah. You're driving me up the fucking wall.
You worked at was it a chiropractor? Where were you working?
It was a publishing company.
That was run by Scientologists. Would they repeat themselves a lot?
Yeah. And they were just like relentless in their questioning. They knew I wasn't a Scientologist, and there were other people that worked there that weren't Scientologists, I think. But, after I was there for a while, I was kind of like, I trust no one kind of thing.
Exactly.
It went like that. But they were just, they were dumb as shit. They didn't know anything about anything. A lot of them were teenagers.
I mean, they were like cloistered in a bubble world. Yeah. So who's the vice president?
Yeah, it was stuff like that. Like you'd say, like you'd make some cultural reference or some like history reference that everybody knows, and they would just look at you like a deer in the headlights, like they had no idea what the fuck you were talking about.
Yeah, like you might have mentioned Joseph McCarthy, and they're like, what?
Yeah,
if he wasn't mentioned in an L. Ron Hubbard book, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, basically that's what it was like. And they were just, I don't know, there was just something so weird and robotic about that.
Yeah, and anybody in the audience that does not know who Scientology, who they are, they're very dangerous. I mean, they were the only...
They don't control much, but the parts they do control, like Hollywood Boulevard or Clearwater, Florida, or East Grinstead, England, they are a big hassle.
And they penetrated the FBI. I think it was the only cult that was able to do that. Now, I think they were... I think they were more dangerous in the past than they are now. I think they're in a weakened state, but a cornered animal can be very dangerous.
Yeah.
Yes, a cornered animal. That's where you get into the Jonestown thing.
Right.
People killing themselves and then killing, a California politician from Washington. But that's one of the things the FBI fears. And then you get things like the David Koresh, Waco, Texas mess. And then on the anniversary of that, someone blew up the Alfred P. Murrah building in Oklahoma City, which was a government building. So they don't want to, the government in part is afraid of them, and yet they're really weak. In a lot of ways, they're only going to hurt themselves. So if David Miscavige wants to have a shootout with himself in Riverside, that's fine. Just don't do it here in L.A.
Yeah. It's a bad cult of, I guess to say, weak people masquerading as excellent people. And even
they're like playground bullies. Off until you kick him, and then he runs away.
And you have to be a certain way in order to really join Scientology. I'd question your sanity if you were to join Scientology.
No one does that anymore, but people are born into it.
Yeah, if you're born into it.
And I sympathize with people that were born into it, and that's all they know. If you join later, then you're a dumb fuck, and that's on you.
Right.
Exactly.
All right, I guess this is a good time to take a break, so we will be back in just a minute. And we're back, and here is the second half of the interview with the Angry Gay Pope.
So now, speaking of kicking butt and stuff, let's talk about the cop block protesters getting in a fight with cult guard Alexei on Hollywood Boulevard.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And I don't post yet, but I will later this month when it's legally good. So what happened was that two of these cop block protesters, these are people who go to anything from a library to a Coast Guard station to a police station to a post office and just poke their cameras at them and do what the Scientologists call a loud investigation. It means like, we are watching you, just to see what happens, because you're constitutionally allowed to do that, just like the people are allowed to chase Paris Hilton or other celebrities with a camera on the public street. Things can get bad when the people you're watching have an overreaction. They've had a big reaction from Scientology, these cop block protesters have. They've had a big reaction from the federal prison downtown, where the guards there acted like Scientologists and was throwing water on protesters out the windows. Like, are you nuts? And these are federal employees.
Yeah.
The scene is Hollywood Boulevard in the Hollywood Guarantee Building, which is Scientology's most evil building. It's like their Pentagon, where all the evil lawyers work. And right across the street is where all the designers that work with all the architecture firms to build their real estate scheme work. So it's a super important place. And Alexei, this Russian cult guard, remember I told you they love Russians?
Yeah.
He's a Russian cult guard. He's been there since at least 2008. Probably much beyond that. But in the video, the cop block protesters who are named California Guardian and Ohio Guardian, one of these guys came all the way from Cincinnati, my hometown, to protest them, and then gets arrested. I said, don't do that. That's why I don't go to Clearwater. California Guardian is like this frumpy Quaker-looking Jewish guy. So he's going to play the bad guy in this story. And then an Ohio Guardian from my hometown is this straight, super handsome guy. So he's going to play the good guy. No, I'm kidding. So like, they're both in Alexei's face. Or they shine their camera in his face. And I'm like, oh, don't do that, because it makes him a victim and it's playing into their hands. And then Alexei pulls out his industrial strength $150 mega flashlight and blasts them in the face. Then they start tussling, and Alexei gets his flashlight taken away. Then they all go running into the street and start chop-sockeying each other. And, like, the police arrive, and their Ohio Guardian throws the flashlight in the trash, and Alexei retrieves it. So it wasn't stolen. Police arrive and are totally one-sided, of course, and then arrest them. And Alexei is taken to a nearby hospital and has his brain scanned. He has like a scuff mark on his face. He has a scratch on his face. But they take him to a hospital and have his brain scanned. They're like, did they actually find something inside? And like, I'm going to publish all the evidence and stuff like that in court. Moxon, the evil lawyer, was there last time with Alexei, who was in full security guard uniform. I wasn't there at that one, but I was at other court meetings with him. And this can be devastatingly expensive to some of them. Ohio Guardian has to pay for a plane flight out here every time just to go to a court meeting that the result of which might be a continuance, where you're going to have to just do this again. We haven't done anything. You know, a continuance means continue the case to the next date when everyone can get together and talk about it. And so it's very expensive just to show up there. And then there's the expense of the lawyer, too. And they are not religious leaders like I am. My lawyer works for me. He's a pro bono vexatious litigant, which means he works for free and he loves to sue people too much.
It's a perfect combination.
So I'm like, well, man, from heaven, says the angry gay Pope. They're in court with the cop block lawyer lady. Her husband is a paralegal, and he was the heavyset guy on the bicycle in the skank video.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
He was the one who had an outfit change. He actually did. I'm like, wow, you're like Cher. You do a like costume change in the middle of this thing. He's on a bicycle the whole time just to throw people off. He was like a Scientologist have bike guards, and he was like the bike guard of Anonymous. These guys are in court, and Moxon shows up and cracks eventually. And Moxon has contacted their lawyer. They have a court date later this month. After that, I'll release the video. But Moxon, the church's legal authority, he's not their most powerful lawyer. He's in some ways sometimes just a glorified paralegal, but he's been with them a million years. He knows where all the bodies are buried. He's very important. Wikipedia page. He was on 60 Minutes, and he is usually put in charge of dealing with Anonymous or the internet protesters like that. So now they don't have Anonymous, they have cop block guys. who don't care about holding signs or having masks or making a party out of it. They just care about staring at you. Like the computer from 2001: A Space Odyssey. They just watch you. You are being watched. And once again, it's the Hawthorne effect that people's behavior changes when they know they're being watched.
Yeah.
Nasty Nathaniel was body slammed by the Morro Bay chief of police recently doing that. Don't get me started. My fellow protester and ultra boy, Nasty Nathaniel, he's got a case he can dick them over majorly. Get financial.
He was supposed to come on, but we didn't hear back from him. He wanted to come on.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll have to.
We'll have to have him on. Yeah.
We'll have him on.
He was gonna. If we were gonna do an interview, he was here. Then he's done an interview with someone else. I think I can't remember, but it's just a question of timing. Yeah, we'll definitely have him.
We'll hook it up.
And so his friend, he's got that case, and then his friends have this fighting with the church. Like street ruffians over a flashlight thing, which now you know the beauty of my protests, where the only thing that gets hurt are pansies.
Yeah.
And there's no, I spank someone on the butt. I talk too loud outside one of their schools. No, it's a victimless crime.
Yeah.
What happened with you playing the ass grabber? What happened with that case?
Well, that was where I was arrested for sexual battery for touching a Scientologist's butt. I said, "Stop that, Ken." Stop.
Yeah, Ken. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sexual battery, and I'm like, sexual battery? Is that like what you put inside an electronic dildo or what?
What happened with that?
Vibrator. So I'm banned from L. Ron Hubbard Way for another year-ish in April. Stop laughing! You like to laugh at restraining order?
It's just funny how petty it was because
the problem is that Ken Long, the guy I spanked, can pop up anywhere and force me into the ocean with a reverse restraining order. Like, just getting near me.
I saw
don't give him any ideas.
Yeah.
And he popped up at that cop block protest with the skank, and he would happen to be there in that building at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday. And I'm going to go to the judge, who's gay, and bring this up because I want to have his power to do that dropped over the last year of this thing. And it drags the case out in court and gets everyone annoyed, which, as my lawyer works for free, I want to do as a protester. And the cop block people also want to do that as protesters, but, those guys have to pay for it. And so Kendrick Moxon decides he's going to drop all charges as long as they get a restraining order against or whatever. Since one of them lives in Ohio, it's not a big deal to get a restraining order in California. So they're going to go to court at the end of the month, and after that, I will release the video because I don't want to release it now because it just messes up the case. And suppose the juror saw it ahead of time. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
Yeah, right.
But as soon as it's over, it will make a great video. But the great thing is that Moxon caved and the church caved, and they just don't want the legal problems. They just want it to go away, which is totally not how L. Ron Hubbard said to do it. L. Ron Hubbard said, "Sue these fuckers to death."
Right.
And and if I did what they did, that's probably what would happen to me because they know I have nowhere else to go.
Right.
But these cop block protesters could just as easily be protesting a post office or a military base. So they want them to go away. But me, I am like a parasite that just lives on them only. Like one of those fish that lives up the butt of only sea cucumbers. I'm a specialized parasite. I have nowhere to go. So if I did something like that, you better believe they'd trash me.
So what's the state of the cult? What's new?
It's just great to see their lawyers cry and give up and run away.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome. That's a good sign.
AGP, what's the state of the cult, man? Anything new?
State of the cult. David Miscavige continues to have too much plastic surgery.
Again?
Oh man, I haven't seen him recently.
Yeah, has anybody seen him recently?
Now, when they have their grand openings of things, they deliberately barely even say it's about to happen.
Really?
Even though they truck people in from everywhere else they opened two of them this past week or two. One in Salt Lake City, Mormon territory, and one in, someone sent me a video of that, and one in, it escapes me. There's two of them. And, was it Pacific Northwest? It was in maybe another country, who can tell? But their openings, which used to be these fanfare things, you probably get the chief of police to show up. Now it's like they barely even promote them. They just force people to go to them if you're in the bubble. But if you're outside the bubble, it's harder to find out about them. And they don't have chiefs of police talking at their things anymore. They have the commissioner of public parks or something. Who we
Someone from
paid
the
off
B
so much
squad.
money because she's a religious nutcase about Jesus and she thinks we're a good thing and she won't look us up on the internet.
That's a sign. That's a sign they're not KSW.
It is. They're boiling down into this intense little bubble, and they have very few super rich donors left, except for the totally blackmailed like Tom Cruise.
Right.
He and these other celebrities are in it. As it tightens and tightens, just with each passing day, it's more likely something's going to blow up. The latest thing was this actor named Danny Masterson, who was on that 70s show. Otherwise, if you didn't watch that show, you don't even know who he is. But he shows up at their I Hate Psychiatrist events and things like that. And like, I'm such a great guy. Look at me talking to you psychiatry haters. Well, he got caught raping multiple women. And when they were Scientologists and they went to their own church to ask for help, they were rebuffed. And now the FBI, which has been dragging their feet on the case because the Scientologists have pressured them to drop it, I'm sure. The FBI is bringing life imprisonment level charges against him, apparently. So that's going to be a fun thing to watch this year because if he gets life in prison, who cares? He's just another scummy rapist like Harvey Weinstein or Bill Cosby.
Right.
But the government can also say, you Scientologists say you have your own, judicial system, and when they went to it, you ignored them, and yet this is everything that actually happened. So the government could, if they wanted to, possibly screw with the church that way and say, your religious system is a failure, and therefore you're not religion, or something like that. You know what I mean? Right. I'm not saying they're going to. The FBI is famous for leaving them alone, and Scientologists are major Trump supporters, and at the moment, Donald Trump has enturbulated the Washington bureaucracy to such a point they're distracted by him not dealing with Scientology, which they don't want to deal with anyway.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. What happened with Marty? Marty, the guy that got it done.
Marty Rathbun?
Marty Rathbun was a major ex-Scientologist who turned against them, and his wife sued. He was spied on so badly that his wife sued the church, saying, "Okay, you can spy on him because that's your religious thing, as he's an ex-Scientologist, and your religion says you should spy on him. But I was never a Scientologist. You shouldn't be spying on me, putting cameras in birdhouses, following us everywhere, harassing us in public, making videos on our porch."
Right.
And she sued them. And the lawyers spend a ton of money working for free, even though they're not religious leaders. Unlike mine, who work for free because I'm a religious leader. But they had all these lawyers on the case, and it was going really well, and it was getting really close to David Miscavige being deposed, the great leader. And David Miscavige must not ever be deposed, which means a deposition is a legal interview where you have to tell the truth, just as if you were in a courtroom. And he'd lie immediately. So the church approached Marty and his wife and just gave them a pile of money and said, flip sentence again.
Yeah, I didn't know what had happened.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what happened.
And now he's out talking trash behind Leah Remini's new show.
And he's on there making surprisingly slick-looking videos.
Yeah.
About how this is how it is now. But he left up all those other videos where he's saying, this is how it is now, and it's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so he's left them all up, and so he's like Smurf. He's flip-flopping again. Smurf would flip-flop all sides.
Well, I'd imagine if you pay a guy enough money, he's going to flop.
Smurf didn't get money, whereas, obviously, the Rathbuns have been paid off to shut up, and then they left their lawyers in the lurch and said, all that work you did for free, we don't care, we're not going to pay you. And the lawyers have thought about suing them, because you don't want to make lawyers mad who are working for you for free.
Right.
Right, exactly.
They thought about suing them, but I don't think they're going to. But all those lawyers worked so hard on that just to be used, which is what Scientologists do anyway. So whether Marty's in Scientology or not, whether Smurf's in Scientology or not, they act that way.
Right. I've noticed.
Self-centered. All I care about is myself. All that matters is the moment.
Yeah, don't take this the wrong way, because I know that you know a lot of ex-Scientologists. I've been following it.
And I enjoy working with them.
Yes.
But they're a handful. They are all shattered inside. Leah Remini admitted it on her show. Yeah. They're all shattered inside.
Yeah. If you follow them long enough online and see what they say and you watch them, they don't make any goddamn sense. A lot of them.
I think it messes them up.
It messes them up, I think, long term.
If you're in Scientology for 10 years, it's going to take 10 years to be out of it, to be unbrainwashed. It was Jenna Miscavige Hill who wrote a book about being the niece of the great leader.
I read that.
She said it took me a couple of years to stop asking people if I could turn the lights on or off. She was one of the slaves born into it. So if you're in it for 30 years, you're not going to live long enough to be completely unbrainwashed.
Right.
Yeah, I do definitely feel like even the ones that have the chance, like, Marty Bradford was in, and even ones that have been out for a while, the longer they're in, the more messed up they seem. Like,
yes, exactly. And it's hard to work with them. They have trouble working on a team. You would probably know this best, having worked with them in an office environment.
Yeah.
There are Scientologists who won't hire former Sea Org workers. Sea organization is their priesthood. And I read in one of the books, Jenna Miscavige Hill's book, she said, I was working for this place and they didn't want to hire me because the Scientologist there said, we don't hire Sea Org workers because they're all so screwed up. You know what I mean? So he just admits his own religion has screwed up priests and priestesses. I can't say I'm any different. I was born in a Catholic orphanage, and look what those people did with their child rape. Ugh.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I was only in that thing for the first 30 days of my life, but some nun at that Ohio orphanage, St. Joseph's Infant Home, she could have diddled my dinky.
That's what happened to you.
Find rape to be funny, honey. Pink hair, bitch.
So what else is going on? What else do you have on the docket?
Well, upcoming is that the Internet versus Odo Huber.
Yeah.
Which is Odo's biofilm. A biofilm is not some sort of organic slime. A biographical presentation of Odo. And Tony Ortega put up a thing that I'm going to use, and I printed out pictures from Tony Ortega's blog and show them to him of his family when they were still together and happy. And he reacts in true Scientology's fashion by acting like a robot.
Damn.
And I put the paper on the ground, and then Angel comes out later, grabs the paper, and throws it in the garbage.
Damn. I tell you what.
So also I have this video called The Wash that I haven't finished for a long time with Nasty Nathaniel, my altar boy, going to Golden Era Productions, and they meet two police officers who have pretty nice things to say about Scientology. And so it's kind of a video game battle debate. Which one is right? The frumpy protesters or the sexy cops? Well, they actually both have their points, and so the video ends up is a wash. There's no winner, but it's raining. And it's very rare to see rain in Riverside or this place. It's all green and beautiful. And it's raining the whole time. And the cop's shirt gets wet. I don't know if you can see his nipples through it because he's wearing a bulletproof vest. But anyway, it's a wash. And they actually visit an area of Gold Base that got washed out because it's such a dangerous place to be with floods, earthquakes, landslides, liquefaction, and even the water. The Scientologists polluted their own water with their own sewage system. They're so stupid.
Good job, Scientologists.
But the fact that there's this washed out area, it's washing down rain, and in this debate between the cops and the protesters, they're both right and they're both wrong, so it's a wash. And then Nasty Nathaniel goes to the Panda Express down the road, and two police cars follow them the entire time and sit in the parking lot watching them.
Damn.
And then after that, let's see, I just finished the stuff from the day before the Christmas parade. I don't know if I'm going to do anything from the Christmas parade. I put the good parts of that up in pieces. But then there's some Guy Fawkes Day from November that I'm going to put out. I'm slow to be editing these things because it just drives me crazy having to do this.
Yeah.
My views are low for each video, and yet over time they're fine. But it's really annoying to say, I don't know, have my coworker punched in the face and it only gets 2,000 views, and it was the Moro Bay chief of police who did it. I mean, now Nasty Nathaniel, those cop block people, they get big views. He gets 20,000 views in a day because there's a much bigger audience for people who know what cops are and don't like them or want to see cops enturbulated. Of course, everybody else's videos aren't Hollywood style, and mine are Hollywood style, so they have more of an evergreen quality.
Yeah. Well, you did that for a living. You're a pro, right?
Yes. And now I won a second Emmy Award because Leah Remini's show won an Emmy Award. So my first Emmy Award was animating Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks's HBO series, The Pacific, a mini-series that discussed the lives of our nation's veterans during World War II. But that was a really boring thing I couldn't stand working on.
Yeah.
And Tom Hanks' production company didn't pay their bills on time to my boss.
Tom Hanks always seemed like such a nice guy.
It was so boring. All I did was take objects from high definition objects from video games and up-res them to movie quality.
Yeah.
And then the whole production pipeline demanded that all the images be like this aqua color. So you're going to animate everything in this weird aqua color. So when it comes out the other end, it's going to look like 1940s Kodachrome.
Yeah.
You know?
It seems like every movie nowadays is like blue or orange.
The Nazi flag looks like it would have looked purple or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the show had problems on its first episode, and it's chronological, so you can't like move the episodes around. So they had to stop everything to redo the first episode. So the special effects supervisor had time to go after every shot and just rearrange each glowing bullet, called tracer fire.
Yeah.
And every time you do that, my boss loses money because I have to go back and subtly fix something that's not broken. So the Emmy Award is great. It's kind of a career achievement. But for what I hated the project. I just hated it. Like, when will this go away? And like, then while I'm analyzing it, like I'm watching a stuntman's head fake explode, and it doesn't mean anything to me. But then I looked online at a chart of Japanese battleships, and I thought, boy, they sure had a lot of battleships. And then I realized, wait, that's a chart of the classes of battleships. So every name on there is maybe 100 ships. And I thought, they did that in 1920? I mean, how many Japanese children starved to death because they were building up a war machine that exploded eventually? Like, I wanted to cry. The stuntman's head blowing up in fake jello, nothing. But when I saw this chart, I cried. Get me out of this project.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
The second Emmy now is I have a certificate for that one. I don't get a certificate for the Leah Remini show, but it won an Emmy also. And my contribution to that was like pictures of the concentration camps and spiked fences and things that no one else has. And if they had taken my stuff out of it, you would have lost like 1% of the image time. But that was the percent when David Miscavige's father was talking about the concentration camp he's in. And then we cut to my photograph, which has been a thorn in David Miscavige's side since 2009. And he knows where it came from. And, you know, I think he might have watched the show.
Yeah.
Oh, you know he did.
Well, because his dad's in it, you know?
Yeah.
And
otherwise, the show would have been, they couldn't even afford reenactments. And so otherwise, the show is very heartfelt talking heads on a tripod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad to have contributed that kind of dynamic stuff that, like, you know, Leah Remini spreads David Miscavige's legs apart, and I just get to kick him in the balls as his father narrates.
It's funny that
what a lovely image.
It's funny that you mentioned the concentration camps and everything. Scientology has these secret bases, and one of them is out in the middle of the desert, and it's got guards.
New Mexico.
Yeah, and evidently guys that have worked there have gone crazy and blown their own heads off. There's a bunch of tablets of L. Ron Hubbard's writings in a silo.
They're vaults for when World War III happened. And people like Bruce will be taken to these utopias to stay safe.
And for any of our listeners that don't really know what Scientology is, it's kind of like a 1950s sci-fi mind control UFO cult that has elements of an apocalyptic 1950s end of the world cult also.
Yes.
So they're prepared for
they have one of their main tomes is called All About Radiation.
Yeah.
What?
It's like something out of the video game Fallout.
Because L. Ron Hubbard is a nuclear physicist, don't you know?
But here's the weird.
He had an interest in it, let's say.
Yeah.
But at the time when he founded it, people were very scared of that kind of thing. So it makes sense that he would have written about that. And since everything he writes is perfect, then it's canonical that All About Radiation is like one of the greatest books in all of Scientology, even though half of it is a biography of L. Ron Hubbard, because who the fuck wants to listen to him talk about, I don't know, neutrons or whatever. I tried to read part of it, and it's mostly about mind control. It has nothing to, his sentences don't make sense. It makes you car sick.
It makes you car sick.
I had to read a bunch of
Where's the
stuff.
science? Is there like a neutrino in this anywhere?
Yeah.
I had to read a bunch of stuff when I worked at that place, and it's like, his writing is atrocious.
Yeah. What's weird is that there's a lot of parallels between Scientology and Juche, which is the philosophy that drives North Korea. They're both totalitarian states.
People mention that a lot online, that it reminds me of the Kim family and their like family mobster takeover of North Korea. The other thing is Stalinism, which is not as bad as Hitler fascism. in terms of eating people up and spitting them out, but it's still bad enough. It's like Stalinism is more sustainable because it's not quite as aggressive in terms of its using people. Still, thousands of people under Stalin were incarcerated, especially if you had skills like being an engineer.
Yeah.
And Scientology is exactly the same way. It all runs on hate and guilt, and if you're born into it, how can you escape?
Yeah, it just
weird.
messes people up so much. I really have a lot of admiration for people that escape.
Yeah.
Because how would you even conceive of it after being raised under such a system?
And nothing that's weird about these totalitarian systems that are constantly in this kind of apocalyptic defensive stance.
Right. There's always a threat to our existence, which we have to deal with now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what's weird is that if the apocalypse did actually happen, North Korea and Scientology probably would survive. Everybody else would probably die.
Oh God! Don't say that's so depressing.
Because those systems are just almost like trilobites. They're so primitive and so simple that they tend to be able to put up. They're already collapsed. You can't collapse North Korea any more than it already is.
Yeah, true. That's a good point.
Their power, but you can't. Wow, we're going to cut off their power. They don't have any electricity.
They don't have power.
It's like they're already
but they do have a giant tunnel that Kim Il-jung can run down into to protect himself.
Exactly.
From anything.
Exactly. They're bomb-proof because there's nothing to destroy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True that.
Well, this has been such a great discussion. The time always flies.
I know, right? Yeah, I know.
You're always welcome back.
Yeah.
And,
And I'm going to definitely, of course, promote this the minute it's done.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. This will actually probably go up on Tuesday.
It'll be up on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'll put it up on Tuesday.
I will let Osa know.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure we'll hear from them. We always hear
I want
from them.
some stalkers.
Yeah.
They'll want to listen to the part where I'm talking about legal stuff in case I can say something stupid to get these cop block protesters in trouble or say something stupid to get myself in trouble over these restraining orders.
Well,
there have been 6 of them,
Yeah.
we can always
boil it down to groups. There were 6.
We can always send you.
Fortunately, my lawyer took the many dozens of individual charges and merged them all into one class action.
Yeah. Well, we can always send you an edited copy so you can check it if you want. And if there's anything you find,
That's great.
And then we can go ahead and
But
send you
Judy
a
does
file.
such a great job with her on-air visuals.
Oh, thanks.
She's gotten better. Yeah.
And I was
for a
telling her
while.
that people are saying about do a documentary, and I'm like, I don't need to. I have the voiceover and her bass edit from the first interview
Yeah.
that I can insert videos, or if I don't like what she put up or it stays up too long because she had an incredibly long amount of time to film, I can enhance that and we could put it into Film Fest.
So
that would be awesome.
So you still do.
What's nice about a film festival is it's not like YouTube where I'm totally concerned with the length of time people watch something. It varies between 4 to 8 minutes on my videos because you can watch anything or do anything on the internet or with a computer. You can actually put it down and go for a walk outside. Don't do that. But the film festival environment, people pay to not be disturbed and turn off their phones and sit and look at the screen.
Yeah, it's definitely a much better environment for that type of
So, do you still do any contracts? So, if somebody needed some animation done, do you still do
I was recently working on the show Jane the Virgin, animating an episode that highlighted literacy, where I animated books coming out of the wall and they have magical sparkles that flutter around. And Jane the Virgin girl is in a flashback where she learns the importance of reading, especially Latina writers, or something like that.
Right.
I mean, I've worked on more TV shows than I've watched.
Yeah, well.
So all I know is that the Jane the Virgin character, her boyfriend, is this incredible hot muscle man on the show. And I brought home background plates just to masturbate over.
You heard it here first.
So I did a shot where they kiss in a window and the window's open and petals blow in and flutter around. So the Jane the Virgin show is a deliberately fun show that's not trying to be realistic. So something goofy can happen and it's all in quotes kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up. I haven't seen any episodes of that.
So how could somebody contact you if they wanted to do a project with you?
Okay, you could just go to angrygaypope.com and click on email me or something like that. It's right there on angrygaypope.com.
And how's Patreon doing for you?
I have been between like $300 and $400 in patronage a month, which is good. It's slowly building, but I need to get more involved in things like promoting myself with you guys and other stuff. And I was thinking of going to, I live right off the Sunset Strip. It's like the coolest place in the world. I mean, I could play the Grand Theft Auto video game and it's a virtual version of my own liquor store. And right up the street is the Comedy Store, where people like Richard Pryor and Robin Williams and others got their start in the 70s. It's been going strong ever since. I might as well go there and just kind of snoop around, attend some shows, and then possibly go up on open mic night or whatever after talking to the people there. And I also want to meet Joe Rogan there because he's had some ex-Scientologists on his show. I want to say thank you so much for doing that. Put me on your show.
Yeah. There you go.
You know what else I can see you doing, AGP? I could really see you coming out with a dead mall channel where you go out and try to find the dead malls and defunct businesses, and you do a whole video show of how a company would rise into existence and
now
fall.
Look, here I am in their mall peeing on the floor.
Yeah. Like, there's a guy named Dan Bell that does it. He does a great one about dead malls.
Yeah, we've gotten like really obsessed with
I
that kind of
work
stuff.
I work with an architect, and I help them maintain malls and design new malls, which is very funny. But like the malls that this company that I work for has are like functional, but there's a lot of malls, especially enclosed around the country, that are failed.
Yeah.
Going to the internet, or people just don't want to go to that particular mall.
Right.
Because there's way too many of them.
So they overmauled, is that the problem?
They overmauled.
Yeah.
I can't believe somebody made that up.
They've been badly mauled.
Right. Yeah.
Like what a bear does in a retail environment.
Okay, well, is there anything else that you wanted to tell us before you sign off?
The most important thing is I will not say anything bad about Donald Trump, because you're right. I should not be partisan on this.
Do not be partisan on this issue. We need to focus on the cult.
That is that red-haired, fake university, giant building with his name on it guy.
Okay. All right, AGP, it's good to hear from you, bro.
End of comm line.
End of comm line.
To LRH.
To LRH.
That was a fun show. That was AGP in his true form.
And please, if you'd like to support his cause, trying to get rid of Scientology, enturbulating the Scientologist, trying to get people to leave, trying to discourage new people from joining. Yeah, I think he's been pretty effective in doing, at least in that area.
The whole idea is just to put awareness of what awareness out there to what Scientology is and what it will probably do to you.
Yeah.
Don't get involved with that.
Yeah.
The people who are born into it are unlucky enough. If you ask me, only a lunatic would join that group.
Yeah, and
you'd have to be a rich lunatic.
Yeah.
Anyway, because they just want your money.
And honestly, the worst, who I feel the worst for is people who were born into it and didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And I really have to say, and I think I said this during the interview, but like I really admire people who were raised in it, like Jenna Miscavige Hill, who was actually the niece of the big bad in Scientology, like who runs the whole thing. And she actually got the fuck out of there and wrote a book about her experiences, and it's horrifying.
Yeah.
So, I really admire that she had the stones to do that, and all the people that have gotten out that have been in there for such a long time.
Yeah, that cult will never go away. It won't go away by force. What'll happen is it's just going to become unpopular. It'll kind of lay low and slowly just kind of shrink.
Yeah, which is already happening.
That's already happening. So Scientologists are kind of delusional. Well, they'll hunt down enemies. Oh, they're destroying the church. They're destroying the church. Man, the church is already destroyed. Yeah. It's just shrinking. Yeah. It's over. Them going after people like AGP is really kind of a waste of their time. Yeah. The damage has already been done.
Well, and they did
most of the damage
They did it themselves.
So
if they didn't suck so much.
Yeah. If
they just get mad when people tell the truth about them.
Right.
And they're like, stopping people from joining the church. Yeah. I'm like, no, you guys are doing that because of you sucking so much.
If LRH Tech was really what they claimed it to be, the church would have grown by leaps and bounds. It would have been successful. Yeah. But because of the policies that LRH put into the church, an integral part of the church failed. The church failed because of LRH and the tech. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, that's just how it goes.
Doesn't work.
So anyway, hope you enjoyed episode 80. And like I said, go check out www.angrygaypope.com. He's also got a YouTube channel called The End of Scientology, and he's got a Patreon. So go and give him some support if you like what he does. He's got a lot of really funny videos. You should go and check them out. Also, if you'd like to support our show, we also have a Patreon at 13 O'Clock Podcast. And if you don't like Patreon and would like to perhaps give a one-time donation, that would be very nice. You could go to our blog, which is 13o'clockpodcast.wordpress.com, and there is a link in the sidebar to a Patreon account. Also, remember to check out our Zazzle store, which is zazzle.com/13o'clock, and we have some various t-shirts on there that you can purchase if you'd like to advertise the show. That would be cool, and they have cool designs on them, too. Oh, and check out our latest movie review, which was The Black Hole from 1979, the only PG-rated Disney movie up until that time. So that'll do it for this week's episode. See you next Tuesday. Bye.
Thank you for listening. I write just for you, but others hearing this may find things they would argue.